Warm-up number 1. Answer should be -20. Number 2. Answer should be 66. Number 3. Answer on this one is 8. Next one is number 4. Those that came up with 141 come back and get 3 million. And you have 20 seconds from right now to bring up a lottery number from 1 to 10. 20 seconds to bring up a lottery number from 1 to 10. The two winning numbers today for the lottery are 2 and 6. All right, if you have 3 of them. Okay, test tomorrow. Today, again, it's the same thing, solving quadratic equations with the formula. And you should be able to solve a quadratic equation down to a couple of integers, and in some cases, just one. All right. Here we go. You're going to come up, this one problem is going to last about 15 different times up to the table. I'm going to tell you what I need from you. You're going to bring it up. The first person gets 3 million. Everybody else gets 1 million that comes in. And it only goes to the first 8 people. We have 9 in here now, so you got to be ready. And I'll mark it off here in purple, what I need you to bring up. Here we go. What goes there? What goes in there is -9. That's what's going to be the result. Next up, I need you to bring me what goes here. And of course it was -b and then b squared, which is the same thing as 9 squared. Next up, what I need you to bring is what goes here. Alright, and what goes in there is 4ac, which in this case is 4 times 1 times a -70. And then on the bottom you'll have 2a. Now bring up what a equals. 1 is a. Bring up what b is. b is 9. Bring up c. And this one, c is -70. And then as a review of what we've already done, and you've brought up to the table, we had -9, 81. That turns out to be 280. And then on the bottom you're going to have 2. So the next thing I need you to bring up is this. Bring me what the value is for the square root of 361. Alright, the next thing I need is the answer for here. What is that answer? Next up, I need the answer that is here. -14. Okay, next up, we're going to do the same thing, just a different variation of it. And here you go. I need the value for A. Values for A, 1, B, -3, and C is -88. Next up, what we need is the final value that shows up in this spot after you simplify. What is that value after you simplify? When you plug it in, it should be a -3 because of the formula, but it simplifies to a 3. What value will you have here after you simplify? After you simplify. After you put in -3 for b and square it, you'll come up with a +9. This will be minus. What is this value after you simplify? Then you'll have 4 times 1 times a -88, which is a -352. What will you have here on the bottom after you simplify? On the bottom you should have a 2. So now we're left with 3 plus or minus the square root of something. What is that number under the square root sign? What you should have is 9 minus a -352 is 361. Of course we know from a problem we did previously that that is 19 when you find the square root. What I need now is the first answer in which you use a plus sign. 3 plus 19 is 22. Divided by 2 should be 11. What is the other answer with the minus sign? On this one, 3 minus 19 is a -8. -8 divided by 2, or it's not a -8. 3 minus 19 is a -16. Divided by 2 is a -8. So 11 or -8 will be the answer. Okay, here's another one, and this is what I want you to bring up. In the formula here, you'll have plus or minus, and then a square root. I want what goes here after you simplify. You have to put in -17 into the -b, but a -17 is going to be a +17. Now what is here after you simplify? -17 squared is going to be 289. What goes here after you simplify? After you simplify on the bottom, you should have a 2. And when you take care of this spot here, you'll have 4 times 1 times 66. That should be 264. Is that right? 264. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to need here is, what is this value after it is simplified completely? So that should dwindle down to a 5 because you have 25 under the square root sign. The square root is 5. Okay, what I need now is this first answer using the plus sign. So that one comes out to be 22 over 2, which is 11. Now I want how you're going to write the answer. We get 12 over 2, which is 6, but how do I write the final answer? What is the right way to write the final answer? 11 or 6? There we go, it helps to record. -15 plus or minus the square root of 15 squared, which is 225. And then you're going to have plus because the formula has minus, and you're going to be putting in a negative number. 4 times 1 times a -34 will make it plus. So 34 plus 34 is 68. 68 plus 68 should be 136. And on the bottom you have 2. So under the square root sign, that is 361. And its square root, which we've had twice today already, is 19. This one is -15 plus 9, or plus 19, which is 4, and that's a +2. And then down here, -15 minus 9 is going to be a -34, divided by 2 is -17. You should have negative, and that's way too big to write with. There we go. You should have -9 plus or minus the square root of 81 minus 72, and then over 2. That comes out to be 9, and the square root is 3. So this one's negative 9 plus 3 over 2, and this one is negative 9 minus 3 over 2. That's a negative 6 over 2. That's a negative 12 over 2. Your answers are negative 3 or negative 6.